drinking bourbon, sipping on some scotch. We get a little wild, but it's sure fun to watch. We love what we do, we're drinking every brew. Man, we talk some shit, but we're telling the truth. Yeah, we're the Scotchy Bourbon Boys, raisins in hell and making some noise. Yeah, we're the Scotchy Bourbon Boys. We're here to have fun and we hope you enjoy. We're here to have fun, yeah.
On this, there we go, we're recording. So welcome everybody to this morning's breakfast with
the Scotchy Bourbon Boys
and Kevin Holly from, you just had the names, okay, Seldom Seen Farms, right? Correct?
That's correct. That's correct.
Look at now, see, I got your name right. I suck at names, so but we've been talking enough, and throughout the time, and then your wife's name is Morgan, correct?
Morgan, yeah, that's correct.
Okay,
yep.
So you guys are in this together, right?
We are all in this together. It's a family business, family run farm. So, we started our farm. I guess if you want a little history of the farm, we started our farm in 2008 when we bought this property. It's in Montville, Ohio, which is like the middle of absolute nowhere. There's a corner store and a post office. That's about it. We have 60 acres, and we actually bought the farm for our horses. We had 6 horses at the time. Her horse's name was Seldom Seen. Okay. So we just named it Seldom Seen Farm. It's kind of cool because it sits way off the road. You can't really see it. That's why people think we named it that way, but it's actually because of the horse. And as the horses kind of moved on, they were old and retired. I think the one was like 32, 34 years old. They all ended up passing away, and we just got out of the animals and moved into maple syrup full time. So I think in 2012 or 13, we tapped our first tree. We started with 10 trees, literally on a turkey fryer. And this year we're going to have over 5,000. So
you actually planted this farm.
The trees were here. We started the farm. The maple tree has to be about 30 years old in order to harvest the sap from it. So we were fortunate enough that when we were walking through the woods, we're like, wow, look at all these maple trees. And I've been around it my whole life. Geauga County, Ohio is huge for producing maple syrup.
Okay. And
we just started tapping them and just kind of grew into this monster that's now our full-time job.
That's amazing. Well, it's like anything else. It's like, especially the people that I run into every aspect of the tying in of bourbon. It doesn't matter if people are, what would you say? I find that there's a certain type of person that either participates in or is some part of the industry that's hardworking. They're passionate, and hardworking. Yep. Nobody really that I run into hates what they're doing. It's a labor of love. Now I'm the first person to say I did the first part of my life in commercial art and as an artist, and I love art. But no matter what, when something, it's one thing to tap your trees and make maple syrup for yourself. But when you turn it into a business where you have to produce a certain amount, there's a lot of things that go into that. And, you're trying, like we just were prior talking, to meet quotas so that you can supply different, people. And you set realistic goals, but do you find that usually those goals are always, by the time you're executing them, already not enough?
Yeah, for sure. We, in this industry, just like the bourbon industry, like we age it for between 6 and 12 months. So like we have to project what's going to happen next year. And we like have this path we're trying to go on, but like sales have always been growing more than what we can age or what we think we can age. So we're always like trying to rush to get more done. We don't rush the process, when the syrup's not ready, it's not ready. It's just like bourbon. If it doesn't meet our qualifications for the flavor, we don't release it. But like my wife and I decided, you know what, this year we're going to take a jump and age twice as much as we did last year, just because that's the path we're going, you know. And if sales droop a little bit, then so be it. We'll have extra. But yeah, it's hard to predict. It's hard to predict the future on what's going to sell.
Yeah, for sure. And all right. So what we're going to do is welcome everybody, you know, now we're recording for YouTube. We've got the people, welcome everybody on Facebook. Feel free to comment and ask questions if there are any. We've got a couple people watching already. It is Sunday morning at 10:30, so I'm not normally
It's church time.
Yeah, I don't even understand how it works when sometimes you go on, and I've been on at 11:30 at night and had a huge thing, and then you go on another time and there's nobody, so you never know. But at the same time, it goes across. I share it across to all the you know, professionals, or the not the professionals, the groups, and we get some really good coverage. So whether it's live or not. So but welcome everybody live. So and we're gonna get ready to start recording on the actual audio podcast. But before that, I want to throw out that our sponsor, Log Still Distillery, Wally, Lynn, and Charlie Dant down there in Gethsemane, Kentucky, are doing some great things. If you're in that area, that Bardstown area, make sure you stop in and say hi to them at Log Still Distillery. They're up and coming. The campus is amazing. And then also the Spirit of French Lick. Alan Bishop down there is the master distiller, doing some fantastic things. If you're ever in that southern Indiana area, it's a must. You got to contact Alan. He's all over Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and you know, just everywhere. So check that out. Stop in.
Cool podcast about ghosts.
Yeah, he does. You'll hear that on the podcast. If you have ghosts, you have everything. Paranormal stuff and everything. It's just we
told our ghost story, which will freak you out. So you might and listen to it.
Yeah. That was a fun one. But, you know, stop in, say hi. The stuff that he's been producing lately has been amazing. All right. So that gets that in for the pre. And now we'll get more towards the professional podcast.
It's a professional.
Well, that we wing the YouTube and that's extra content. We give them extra content. So just remember,
I'm hungry, so get on with it.
All right. So there's going to be a 30-second pause. We're going to hit it. We got to be quiet. So here we go. We are starting.
Hey, Scotchy Bourbon Boys fans, this is Alan Bishop, Indiana's alchemist of the Black Forest. So I'm tuning in here today to tell you all about the One Piece at a Time Distilling Institute channel on YouTube. If you're at all interested in the art of distilling, whether it be home distilling or professional distilling, and the intense geekery that goes into that process, then check out the One Piece at a Time Distilling Institute on YouTube. I promise you're going to learn something you didn't know before about the arts.
This is Alan Bishop, head alchemist at Spirits of French Lick. Be on the lookout for a brand new bottled and bond Solomon Scott rye whiskey, made from a mash composed of 65% rye, 35% corn, and 5% victory malt. This 5-year-old 100 proof rye whiskey is a throwback to early 1800s style rye whiskeys of the Ohio Valley, named after the legendary Daisy Spring Mill distillery owner turned moonshiner Solomon Scott of Paoli, Indiana. Remember, drink responsibly and never drink and drive.
Sipping on some scotch, we get a little wild, but it's sure fun to watch. We love what we do, we're drinking every brew, man, we talk some shit, but we're telling the truth. Yeah, we're the Scotchy Bourbon Boys, raisins in hell and making some noise. Yeah, we're the Scotchy Bourbon Boys. We're here to have fun and we hope you enjoy. We're here to have fun, yeah.
All right. Welcome to another podcast of the Scotchy Bourbon Boys. We're coming to you at a morning podcast, and we have a very special guest here, Kevin Holy of Seldom Seen Farms. He is a maker of bourbon barrel aged spirits, and we're going to find out everything we can about this this product, how it's made. I'm Tiny. This here's Roxy. Welcome, everybody. We're the Scotchy Bourbon Boys, www.scotchybourbonboys.com. Check us out for all things Scotchy Bourbon Boys online. And then also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, TikTok. Remember, like, listen, subscribe, and leave good comments. And we're also on all the major podcast formats. So this morning, we've got breakfast. We're doing breakfast. And Kevin here is going to walk us through. We've got a nice gluten-free pancake and bacon. And, you know, she prepared the pancakes. I have regular pancakes and bacon. But when Roxy was preparing the pancakes, she's like, do you think I should make bacon? And I'm like, yeah, bourbon barrel aged syrup is going to go good on bacon too. So we got it all covered. So welcome, Kevin. Great to have you on. Thanks for doing this early in the morning.
Oh, absolutely. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Why don't you tell we were talking a little bit before, but tell our listeners what you were doing this morning, which was really unique. What you said, how, you know, what happened and how it happened and everything like that. Go into that a little bit. That was kind of cool.
Yeah. So that today is, it seems early to be making maple syrup, to be harvesting the maple sap, to make the syrup. Usually it's around middle to end of February. But this morning I have sensors, computer sensors in my woods and everything that tell me what's going on, the temperatures and everything. And being so cold last week, we're expecting 40s and 50s temperatures for all this week. My alarms went off and woke me up at about 5:30 this morning. So our maple season actually is officially starting today. At about 5, 6 o'clock this morning, it warmed up enough. So we're starting to harvest the sap and make our syrup that we eventually turn into that bourbon barrel aged syrup you guys are going to sample.
So what does that exactly entail? What did you physically have to do once the alarms went off? I just go into that. I have no idea.
Yeah. So like a lot of people see the old fashioned buckets hanging on trees when they collect maple sap. Not too many people do that anymore. Now we have a sophisticated kind of tubing system. We have about 14 miles of tubing that run through our woods. We have 2 different woods leases up the road, but here on our home property, we have about 6 miles of this tubing. And if you could imagine looking down over a spider web, that's what our forest looks like. And it all runs to one central location called the pump house. And then there we pump it to our sugar house. But in that pump house, we have a vacuum pump that helps extract the sap from the trees. It removes the air from the tubing. Not to get too scientific about it or anything, but we're trying to meet the barometric pressure for that day. So like if the barometric pressure is 29, we're trying to get up to that 29. And what that does is it helps us like increase the sap yield substantially. So it just basically all runs downhill. We remove the sap from the tree early in the spring, and we make our syrup. So usually our syrup season runs till about now until about April 1st. So we only have between 6 and 8 weeks to do this.
It sounds like I want to take a trip to the farm.
Yeah,
for sure.
It's talking like we're less than an hour away, probably. So
yeah, for sure. We do these big open house tours the first and second weekend in March, and we have like
500 people come to the farm and see how we make syrup. This year we're having pancake breakfasts, showing off like our new commercial kind of space we have, and our bottling lines that we did this year, and our sugar house and everything. So it's going to be pretty cool. We usually have a good turnout, and people learn a lot. That's the main thing, is the education.
So technically, okay, so I've seen syrup made. You need to get an awful lot of sap that you then basically what is it? You condense
evaporate.
it down. Yeah, evaporate the water, which then it's almost like you're doing what is it? What do they call it? The kind of sauce that when you're evaporating.
Reduction.
Yeah, you're reducing the water in, right? A reduction kind of thing.
Yeah, essentially, it takes about 50 to 55 gallons of sap to make 1 gallon of syrup. So if you imagine that 55-gallon drum or 53-gallon whiskey barrel, all that sap, if you filled that with sap, you'd get 1 gallon of syrup.
Right. And then to get so you need 53 barrels of 53 gallons, 53 barrels of the sap just to make one syrup, to make enough for one syrup barrel, basically.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so, exactly. It's incredible amount.
So when you turn on your pump and it starts yielding the sap, what are you collecting the sap in? Are you collecting it in 300-gallon, tanks? Are you collecting it in 600-gallon? And what kind of yield are you getting once you turn that on, like in a day? I mean, I am like clueless when it comes to this, and it's so intriguing to me.
Yeah, it's definitely crazy. Like I don't know. We like to punish ourselves somehow with like all this stainless steel and all this tanks that we have to buy. The farmers are resilient in that way. We just like keep going. So like if you come into our sugar house, we have a smaller sugar house, but our tanks are outside, and we have 7,200 gallons of storage tanks outside. The one is 4,800 and the other one, I forget what it is, 20-some hundred gallons. And we fill that, like we plan everything for like our biggest run days. So we have 1,500 taps, 100 trees here on the property that we harvest from. So those 2 tanks are enough for like 24 hours of storage. So we can get up to 5 gallons of sap per tree per day on a good day. So, we're talking 6,000-7,000 gallons of sap a day is not out of the question.
All right. So we're aware of the bourbon barrel syrup that you're making, but what is your percentage of actual? Now you're definitely participating. I was at your website in Ohio syrup. You're producing just regular Ohio maple syrup, correct?
Correct.
So
traditional, yep.
And so what percentage are you putting into the barrels for aging of what you're making? Is it a 1%, a 5%? I mean, and how long is your season? I mean, that's another thing. It's starting today is February 5th, correct? If I'm not mistaken, is it the 4th or the 5th? Okay.
I think something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, the 5th. So what is your what is the season? How long does that last? Or is it always ongoing, just when it decides all of a sudden it wants to, or how much does a tree yield in a season?
So if you make a half a gallon of finished syrup per tree, you're doing really well. That's like what we aim for. So like our 5,000 trees, if we get 2,500 gallons of syrup, that would be a really good season for us.
Okay.
Out of that, we have to work with a lot of other local farmers that we purchase their syrup from too. And that's what we turn into our bourbon barrel age. We use a lot of our own for that. And we also purchase in some of that. So we're putting more syrup in barrels than we produce, if that makes sense. So we have to buy it out. We're like, there's a lot of other farmers that just sell 55-gallon barrels of syrup. They sell it just on the bulk market, kind of like the spirits industry does the same thing. You can buy barrels of whiskey or whatever, and then bottle it under a different brand. We can do that as well. So we buy bulk syrup from our neighbors who can't sell as much, and we put that into the bourbon barrels, and we age that as well. So we right now, like currently, we have between 40 and 50 barrels, whiskey barrels aging of bourbon barrel aged syrup.
Where do you age? Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, I just wanted to welcome some people that are on so we can say hi to them real quick. There's Stacy. Hello, Stacy, and Addie. And Chris says he needs some syrup. And Core is watching. And Steve and another Chris. So thank you all for popping in on our Facebook Live. And my question was, do you acquire barrels from different distilleries, just from Ohio distilleries?
Yeah, so we have partnerships with about 10 different distilleries around the country. We source a lot from Kentucky. Obviously, a lot of bourbon comes from Kentucky, as we all know, but we source barrels not anywhere we can, but most places have decent sized barrels. We aim for 53s, just because of the volume it holds. They're easier to move. They're heavier to move, but they're easier to store, I guess, than a bunch of 15 or 20 gallon barrels. So we source them from about 10 different distilleries around the country.
So if a person wanted to just buy a barrel and fill it with syrup that they buy from a syrup distributor, does it have to be like similar to how you age bourbon in a temperature controlled environment, or can it just sit there and age?
Yeah, so we do everything in coolers, because syrup, if it's not hot packed, like that bottle you have in front of you was hot packed at 180 degrees. Once you open it, you got to put it in the refrigerator. Okay. That's the same thing as like barrels of syrup. Like you can't just put it in like your garage because it'll mold.
Right.
So it's a food safety thing. So we put everything in coolers. It's temperature controlled under 42 degrees. And unfortunately, it's not as easy as just throwing syrup in a barrel, but
that's good to know. I mean, and then when you think about it, it's when you're talking about whiskey, the whiskey, it is about just throwing whiskey in a barrel, because you can do it however you want. That alcohol is not going to mold. And you bring up a good point. It's like, and when you think about, how much sap went into making that 53 gallons, and then if it molds, you lose the whole thing. So I understand that you don't even leave it to, you have to make sure the environment does not produce that at all, because like you said, it's a food safety thing, but it's also a profit loss margin kind of thing. You lose a 53 gallon barrel of syrup, and you look at this and the bottle that you put out and how much you could charge per bottle, because it's the price of bourbon barrel aged syrup is proportionally priced properly, because we all know what just regular pure maple syrup tastes like, and we all love that, and we all know what that is. But now you throw in what is, you said 9 to 12 months in the barrel, and that's the place where you probably shouldn't screw up, right?
Yeah, definitely. Our inventory is kind of overwhelming to a point, because it's like, if we have to buy syrup from another farmer, we have to sit on it for almost a year by the time we sell it to the end consumer. We handle it 3 or 4 times, and there's loss every step. So like if we put 53 gallons into a barrel, we might have 3 or 4 gallons of loss just because the barrel soaks it up. We dump some on the floor. It breaks my heart every time I do that. But there's just things that you just lose volume over time. So
do you sell your barrels back to the distilleries?
Yeah, so we do. We have a bunch of distilleries and breweries around the country. I'm actually shipping 6 out this week. I forget where they're going. Somewhere in Oklahoma, I believe. And a lot of them do a maple finished bourbon or a maple bourbon ale, I guess. There's one in Youngstown called Biker Brew House. They do a lot of darker beer, and it's really, really good.
That's it's maximizing everything profit as much as you possibly can. There's no doubt about it, because
For sure.
I know that Lisa Roper Wicker from Widow Jane, no longer from Widow Jane, but she put out the Decadence, which was basically she aged her bourbon in a maple syrup barrel. And you gotta know that I've talked to distillers before, and a lot of times when they like to have the barrel dry. It's already been, like, if it's a wine barrel or whatever, because then that, as the whiskey soaks back in, it picks up and it's just an accent flavor, opposed to getting a wet barrel with, a gallon of wine in it. And then when you put as a distiller, when you put your whiskey in there, now you're doing a flavored whiskey, not a finished whiskey, but that's all up to the people who are putting in there. But the amount of maple syrup that has to be actually sucked into the barrel, and then I can't imagine it. It's got to be pretty sticky in there when you ship those barrels off.
Yeah, for sure. Some of them leak all over, and like if I dump a barrel on like a Monday and then put it in the corner of the barn or something, and then wait till Friday, if I try dumping it again, there'll probably be a half a gallon that'll come out. It just oozes from the staves. It's like, I don't know. I've tried taking a couple barrels apart and making furniture out of them just in my spare time, and it is so sticky. Like the barrel, you cannot pressure wash that maple syrup out of that wood. It's unbelievable.
It's infused.
Yeah. It is, for sure.
Now you could have someone just drop in staves, right? Instead of like using the whole barrel. It'd be a sticky.
Yeah, you could. Yeah, for sure.
All right, dear, this is your turn. Let's sample. So we are going to do a podcast coming up real soon. This was the start, because it'll probably be in the next couple Sundays of different maple syrups. We've obtained them from different distilleries, all the different distilleries, and we're definitely want to just see. We're not going to be rating them to say which, but we want to see if there's how big of a difference it is, whether, because some of the distilleries use their own barrels. So does it matter? We're just going to get into the essence of, does it matter what barrels you are using? All of them are cast strength. There's no way to get around that. But at the same time, different bourbons have different flavors. So does it make the syrup go off different? So
but I first tasted Kevin's syrup at the 2021 Kentucky Bourbon Festival. He had a booth there, and I went around, and I love maple syrup. And my favorite as a kid was maple syrup candy, which it's probably why I have a mouthful of cavities.
Mm-hmm.
But and I brought it home, and I was like, this is outstanding flavor in this syrup. You can actually taste the bourbon. And since we purchased a lot of different bourbon aged syrups, some have just like a much richer bourbon flavor than others, and I would have to say that this is one of them. So this would be excellent to use in your cocktails too, because I want to say less on that gaggy, sugary, sweet side, and more on that rich maple bourbon infused flavor side. So,
yeah, for sure. It's I think it took us probably 4 or 5 years to really figure out our kind of unique aging process. I think it's a lot different than what other people do. Some people do actually just add bourbon to the barrel, and you can tell when somebody dumps bourbon into a barrel of maple syrup. It has a different flavor to it. It's not bad or anything like that by any means. It's just different. Ours is pure maple syrup aged in a barrel, and our unique method, I think, it stands out. It's not for everybody. We'll be the first to admit that. Some people it's too strong for. But if you're a whiskey connoisseur or anything like that, it definitely hits a little different for sure.
Yes, you can really taste the bourbon.
I would say
this maple syrup.
I would say that I haven't had regular maple syrup in about 2 years, because why would I?
Yeah, right.
It's just but so let's get into a little bit as far as is there OHLQ involved with this at all? I mean, I understand there's not a lot and it's finished, but it's also has a certain amount of alcohol in it, or do you do a process that minimizes it?
Yeah, so actually there is no alcohol in that.
Okay.
So alcohol, I think, evaporates at 154 to 158 degrees.
Mhm.
So when we bottle our syrup, we actually bring it up to a boil and we bottle it at 180.
Okay.
So it'll boil 212 or 219 technically for maple syrup. So all that alcohol, any residual alcohol will just evaporate off.
Yep.
I don't think there's anything that much in there to begin with. I've never had it tested prior to boiling it off, but yeah, there's no alcohol in it. So Ohio Liquor can't sell it in their liquor stores. I was approached by them for that, being that it's not an alcoholic, product. They don't sell it in their liquor stores, but they did do a cover story on us. They came out last year and did a mini movie commercial for us. That's on their website as well. And they were great with that. It was a pretty cool experience.
So did you ever think of what would that cost you to actually add bourbon to some of your syrup? Then you could sell it through there, but that would be a whole different can of worms, I imagine.
Yeah, that would be, I think anything above 0.5% is a controlled substance, right? I think you would need your TTB permits for that. I don't think you could sell, 18% like a heavy wine or something. Like if you infuse some bourbon and syrup together, it would be a control by the state at that point. So I mean, you could probably do it for a little while until you get caught, right? But yeah, I wouldn't try that route. So yeah, something for the future maybe.
So tell everybody listening and watching on Facebook Live, because the questions are constantly, where can I get this syrup?
So you can get the syrup at many local distilleries, depending on where you're at in the country. I know New Riff carries it. It's on their shelves all the time. There's a few other ones in Kentucky, Treaty Oak in Texas, but the best place to get it is seldomseenmaple.com. That's our website. Everything comes direct to us, and when you go on seldomseenmaple.com, you're supporting our family farm. So there's no distribution, there's no middleman. It's just you're buying straight from us.
That's the best way. Yep.
Yeah, and your website is very easy. You go there. It's very specific. I was working it. It does exactly what it needs to do, right?
Yeah, my wife and I debated a long time about like a big fancy website with all these pictures and pages and stuff. I don't think people want to read too much about us. There's a little paragraph about us, and that's about it. I mean, that we're real people. We're not like just some corporation. There's pictures of us, and then there's a place to buy it, and it's as simple as that. And you could pay online with a credit card or anything. You can ship to other people. We could do Christmas presents or holiday gifts or whatever you guys want. We could ship to other people. So we make it super easy, or we try to at least.
So before this, I mean, you talked about that you didn't purchase the land, but to start making syrup. But what did you do before you did this?
So before this, I started out of high school being a carpenter, and then I was in construction my whole life. I actually went to school for civil engineering and construction management. Owned my own company for a little bit with another guy. We were partners, and then I worked at a county engineer's office for almost 12 years, about 11 and a half years. And I quit that job about a year and a half ago to do this maple full time. So I had the government job for a while, almost at 12 years, and it was great. But I figured, you know what, if I don't ever try this maple thing, it's never going to happen now. Mm-hmm. So I didn't want to be like 85 years old and wondered if that would ever work. So I could always go get another job if I need to, but this is paying the bills for now, and we're growing. So it's fun. It's definitely fun.
It's definitely the syrup is delicious. There's no doubt. I mean,
Thank you.
I initially thought maybe we had a little left over from the last time, but that went fast. My wife and
quick.
And so when it showed up, I was excited, and then you
syrup, and I said, oh yes, it is. We know how good that lasts very long.
So yeah, I mean that is something.
Save it for special occasion.
Special, yeah. Ice cream. You gotta put on ice cream. I don't know if you've tried that on vanilla ice cream. That's dangerous. It is.
That sounds chocolate ice cream.
Chocolate, yeah, if that's your type. Yeah. I like it on vanilla, yeah. But any type of chocolate or any type of ice cream, we actually put it on like a variety of things. We've done candied bacon. We've used it as like a glaze on ham. I mean, you could cook with it in any way. It's just a sugar replacement, and it really adds like a lot to it.
I put some in my coffee once.
Oh yeah.
I like to put it in an old fashioned.
Yep.
Just add that. That just adds that little bit. It's almost like, because it's got a little bit of the bourbon taste still, you're not just like adding sugar to it. You're adding, I don't know, enhancement instead of an extra ingredient. So that's
sweetens it up for sure. Absolutely. Yeah, we also have a barbecue sauce that uses our bourbon aged syrup in it. And that's been a huge game changer. This past year we came out with that. That's our own original recipe. We were drinking one night. We're like, let's make a barbecue sauce. So we threw a bunch of bourbon syrup in there, and it turned out really, really well. And we have that available on our website too. We call it Rickhouse Reserve, is like a separate brand of ours where we age different products. We have a barrel aged coffee that we do. We do the barbecue sauce, and we got a couple other things in the pipeline too. So.
Oh, great. Well, we do a lot of smoking in the summer, so I guess we're gonna have barbecue sauce.
Yeah, perfect. I saw that on the website, and it makes sense, because you already got the bottling line set up, and you already everything, the labeling and all that. So that just made sense that if you could, I suppose. So what's the difference? Do you use you're obviously using a separate system for cooking it and making it, and right, as opposed to, it just doesn't fit right into the syrup aspect, does it?
No, it's different equipment, a different process and everything. But we're really good at putting things in the bottles, so, and kind of exploring new routes to sell more syrup. So when we can create another good product that uses our original product, we figured, why not branch out into that? Our focus is still on the bourbon barrel aged syrup, but the barbecue sauce and other things like that, it's just an add-on and diversifies our product a little bit more. So.
All right, you need to make some maple syrup candy for me then.
Yeah, we'll have that at the open house in March for sure.
Since that's my favorite.
Definitely.
So go into what are the exact dates of the open house? So the
open house is March 4th and 5th and 11th and 12th, I believe, or 10th and 11th, whatever the first and second weekend in our March. We'll have pancake 4th and 5th, and then we'll have pancake breakfast on the 4th and the 11th, I believe, the Saturdays only. So those will be in the morning. They'll kind of kick off the maple tour. There's 47 different sugar houses around the state of Ohio on this tour. So like, you can see all the different products that people make. You can see different processes, because every sugar house is different. Everybody's method and everything like that is different. It's just kind of like distilleries. You see, they're not all the same. You get to learn something new at every distillery you go tour. Every bourbon tastes different. Well, if you go to 50 different sugar houses, you're going to get 50 different flavors of maple syrup and 50 different processes and how to do it. So it's kind of cool.
That's incredible.
Yeah, definitely. That's something, like you mentioned, the difference between the distilleries. Everybody has their thing, that they've come up with, that they're trying, and then, like you said, now I don't know how many people open up their syrup making business for the general public to stop by. And I mean, do you have like a gift shop up there? If you come up there, where you sell all your wares, or is it just
we don't have like an open gift shop all the time. During maple season we're always open, and then around the holidays we're always open, but if you just drive in the middle of July, we're probably not going to be here, because it is our home. It's always wise to call first. Running a brick and mortar store kind of 8 hours a day isn't really up our path. We're not busy enough for that, like during the off season, I guess you would call it. But during the season, yeah, we're always here. We're always open, and yeah, we make it happen for people. It's always wise to call first, like I said, though.
The kids aren't old enough yet.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. Maybe when they're 16, 17, 18, you can be open all year.
Yeah. I don't think I trust my 4 and 9-year-old to do it. Although my 9-year-old, he's pretty resilient. He can figure out a lot of stuff, and that little bugger, he can sell some maple syrup. I take him to shows with me, and he can sell some maple syrup. It's great to watch him talk.
Inhibitions, right? No fear, no inhibitions.
Yeah, he doesn't care. He'll talk to anybody about anything, and then sell them a bottle of maple syrup in the middle of a conversation.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I don't know where he gets it from.
That's awesome.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you have any more questions?
No, I was just making short work of my pancake because I was hungry and it was delicious. So.
Yeah, I think you gave your critique. It's delicious. There's no doubt about it.
Very
thank you.
Flavorful, not the rich maple flavors plus that bourbon flavor and.
Plus your the thickness, the viscosity of it. It's
nice,
not as you could get into some pure maple syrup where they have it watered to the point where it's almost like you're pouring water. This has definitely
it sticks to your pancake.
Yeah. Right. It just doesn't run off like water, but it's not thick like corn syrup, syrup, maple syrup.
Yeah, for sure. We do that on purpose. It kind of like it hits your tongue a little different, and it lands on your flavor buds a little bit longer. So we do make it a little bit thicker on purpose. We do actually lose money doing that because, we could have more volume if we didn't cook it as much. But I think that's one of the things that where like our flavor stands out. It helps, I guess, in the long run. It's something I like, so that's what we do.
Well, it's a balance, I guess, right?
Yeah, and I would describe it to people. So sometimes the syrup is so watery that it's better in like a little container next to your plate, and then you dip your pancakes in it. Whereas this one you can pour on your pancakes and then mop it up with the pancake without it dripping all over your side.
Dripping all over, yeah, exactly.
Mouth, right?
Exactly.
You're the crap on I was watching your hands, and I'm like, she's gonna do it again.
Yeah, and I would encourage people too to try a few different brands and everything. A lot of people have said, "Oh, I've had that before. We don't like it," but you might not have liked that brand, or you might have not have liked our brand too. Like I would encourage, go out and try somebody else's bourbon barrel aged syrup because you might like theirs more than you like ours, or vice versa. Be open about it. It's just like bourbons. You might find a bourbon that you absolutely can't stand and one that you just absolutely love. So you do have to go out and try them all and support everybody in that. So
yeah, now that we have 10 plus different syrups, or have had them coming and going here, it's quite it's not shocking, but you're like, wow, these taste really different. Like they're not just all like that artificially bourbon flavored taste. They have very distinct different taste profiles. So it's kind of fun, especially if
for sure.
So
the bourbon drinker.
Did we cover where you get your bourbon barrels?
Yes, you said all over.
All over. So it's all different places. That's where you're pulling it. So from a marketing standpoint, have you been with any distilleries where you'd promote it as that particular?
Yeah, so some distilleries we co-brand, we custom age and co-brand it for them. So like on the bottle that you guys have, we have 2 barrels on the front of it. That would be considered our brand. So it'd be a mixture of everybody's it's just a mixture of barrels. So what we do is we'll pull those barrels out of that logo and actually put like New Riff Distilling on there. So if we put New Riff's logo on there, that's from their barrels only.
Okay.
Nice.
And then we do it for a bunch of different distilleries. Pine Bluffs in Wyoming, Pine Bluffs, Wyoming. I don't know if you've ever had their juice or not, but that's pretty good stuff. Treaty Oak, we do that for. Mystic Distillery in North Carolina. There's a bunch of them, and some of them do just buy our brand as well. So they sell it without the co-branded label because it does cost just a tiny bit more.
Cheaper.
So
Sure.
it is, yeah. It's easy. It's easier for us, at least. We don't have to inventory certain barrels from certain distilleries, and it makes our life easier. But we totally understand that story that these distilleries want, and then we send the barrel back to them, and they make that maple finished bourbon.
So I imagine, like, if you're doing the sponsorship there and it's going to go to them, they're just set. That's probably, like you said, it's a little bit more, but it's probably a little bit less on some of the stuff because they're just sending the barrels up to you, and then you're going to send them back. So it's probably not like having to go out and buy the barrels from the distilleries so that you can make your own, right? There's a little
There's the barrels are pretty much free. They I guess loan them to us as long as they get them back, but the shipping is the worst part. That adds a little bit to it. But the shipping is terrible, and right now it's crazy with everything with the economy, but it is what it is on that end.
Do you have any restaurants buying the barrel from you, and then they're just basically thieving the syrup out of the barrel and putting it in at the restaurant?
That would be cool. That's a good idea.
Hey, you just gave him a new idea.
Yeah,
no,
they could like push around a little 5-gallon barrel or something on a cart and just serve it right there.
Put it in.
That would actually be like super cool to go
to. That's a good idea. I might have to think about that. That's good.
Thief it out right.
Well, they do that with the old fashions. They put it in a bourbon barrel and then they age it.
Thief it right out.
But at Watershed, you just thief right out of that. He thieves the old fashioned right for you. Like if you want a barrel aged old fashioned, he just sticks the thief in and pulls it out. It's been in there, and that's what they do. So it's kind of a cool thing.
That is a cool thing. Yeah, Watershed's a cool distillery for that. We've had a lot of their barrels come through here, and they have some good products. They have good barrels, real nice. They're almost like furniture grade barrels for some reason. I don't know. I forget where they get them from. But they are beautiful barrels.
Yeah, they go out of it's actually the Canton, I believe the Canton Barrel Company, which used to be in Canton, Ohio, but then moved to Kentucky.
Okay.
And then
I know there's one down in central Ohio somewhere too. I thought they were using them for a while, and I can't remember their name, but they make nice barrels as well.
You're actually right. It's a cooperage out of Ohio. I know that Middle West does that, and them also. So
yep, for sure. Awesome.
All right. Once again, why don't you give yourself a little pitch for everybody? And then we'll finish up.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know if any more questions have come in about our products, but you can get our products at seldomseenmaple.com. That's seldomseenmaple.com, one word. And we can ship direct to anybody else of your choosing. You can pay online with your credit card. Or if you're in Ohio, come to the Maple Tours. The first 2 weekends in March, we'll be open making syrup, and you can see our operation and check it out.
Awesome. It sounds like something fun to do to break up the monotony of the winter. Right?
Yeah, for sure. It's getting into that cabin fever type of season when everybody's just looking for something to do, but you can't. Yep.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think you covered it. I am way more educated on the production of maple syrup, that's for sure. Had no idea that nature sent out alarms, but she does, right?
Yeah. You're right. You got to help her out a little bit, but yeah, she does.
So anyways, there's nothing left on our plates, so we that's a first. This is a first having breakfast on a podcast. We've done a couple early morning ones, but that's usually a social dysfunction because we're drinking. So
yep.
So we haven't been. We're just having breakfast. Thank you so much, Kevin, for coming on and giving us a little bit of time. And hopefully we could get up there. It'd probably be the second weekend in March, because I know the first weekend I'm going to Galena for a whiskey festival. But the second,
nice.
But I'm willing. I'm going all over. If I'm either I take her or I don't.
Yeah, for sure.
Usually things work out, right?
Yeah, I mean,
So
I catch babies for a living, so they don't care what the schedule is.
no.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we'd love to have you guys and show you around and everything. So we appreciate it.
Mhm.
All right. Thanks.
Yeah.
And thank you everybody for listening. We are the Scotchy Bourbon Boys, www.scotchybourbonboys.com. Check us out. And then also remember Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and Twitter. Make sure that you listen, like, comment, and subscribe. And also we are on all major podcast formats. So when you're there, leaving good feedback always helps out. We appreciate it. So remember, I gotta adjust my thing. Remember, good bourbon syrup equals good friends, good times, good breakfasts, and go out there and live your life dangerously. So, and having bourbon syrup in the morning and so maybe something in your coffee, it's like that's living life dangerously, right?
Yeah.
Or seriously. All right. So little Steve-O's gonna take us out. Thanks, everybody.
Oh, show me the way to the next whiskey bar. Oh, don't ask why. Oh, don't ask why. Show me the way to the next whiskey bar. Oh, don't ask why. Oh, don't ask why. For if we don't find the next whiskey bar, I tell you we must die. I tell you we must die. I tell you we must die.
All right. So off the main podcast, I just got a quick. You could talk. I'm going to do a couple.
Talk.
Yeah, you keep everybody.
We didn't, do any SNL 3D House of Pancakes,
No, we didn't. We ate them. So
I guess that could, get you flagged for some kind of,
no, I don't think so.
infringement of something these days.
Nah.
So my plate.
So how big is that pancake breakfast? Is it? I mean, you were talking. Is it hundreds of people? I mean,
well, this is our first year of the pancake breakfast, so we don't know if there's going to be 4 people or 400 people.
Oh.
Yeah, so it might be a little chaotic. We actually have this big griddle coming. It's like a 6-foot round cast iron griddle that spins, and it can cook up to like 200 pancakes at a time.
Mm-hmm.
So it's coming in a couple weeks, and we're going to try it out, and hopefully people show up. I think they're going to, because like we shared our first promotion on Facebook and got like 64 shares and like 6,000 people viewed it. So
oh wow, yeah.
I'm a little worried we're going to get overwhelmed, but part of that like fun is the hectic of it, you know what I mean? The chaos.
Yeah.
People enjoy
I get
that.
overwhelmed, and that would be okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
our family always did the I think it was the Lent pancake breakfast at our church, which was a very large church, size, and my dad and a whole bunch of the men would cook the pancakes, so the ladies would be out in the great hall, and I mean it was there were several hundred people coming and going, if not more, because the whole neighborhood would come and eat pancakes too, not just the church goers. It was open to everybody. And
yeah, that's what we're hoping for. I mean,
big griddles going. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I hope we have enough parking is
pancakes.
going to be the issue. So we'll have plenty of pancake mix.
Big, giant, aluminum trays.
Oh yeah, we've got like 250 pounds of pancake mix coming, so we should be good. And when it's gone, it's gone. So time will tell.
Well, right. I mean, that's
or you're going to be eating a lot of pancakes the rest of the
day. Yes, it'll be like pancake breakfast every day for like 5 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. For sure. So cool. Well, thanks again for having me on. I appreciate your guys' time and hope you enjoyed the syrup. So
Yeah, we did.
We did. Thank you very much. And we'll just keep talking about it. So I appreciate it, and hopefully get to meet in person real soon.
Yep. Sounds good to me. Thanks, guys.
I've met him in person. So.
Yeah.
Dant Crossing, Gethsemane, Kentucky. Timeless hospitality that stirs the spirit. Dant Crossing is a one-of-a-kind destination for unforgettable weddings, memorable corporate events, day trips, and weekend getaways. The pastoral campus is anchored by Log Still Distillery and includes an amphitheater that seats 2,000, a 12-acre lake for fishing, and unique lodging options, creating an immersive experience that's rooted in the community and culture of our little slice of Kentucky. More attractions will open soon at Dant Crossing, including our 21,000 square foot distillery, which we will have the ability to produce 15,000 barrels of spirit each year, a network of wooded walking trails, fully functional private train depot, farm-to-table restaurant, and the Legacy, a premier wedding and events venue. Whether you're looking to host an event, book a stay, or reserve a tasting, we're ready to welcome you. Learn more at dantcrossing.com.